nice cracking this one because they'll both lock.
You ready to go? Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. The first item on the agenda is to let's go around the table and we'll introduce the folks that are here and then the folks online. So,
Kurt Schwabauer, Senior Superintendent, Fence Contractors.
Corey Loomis, Senior PM, Fence Contractors.
Wayne Powderly, Tunnel Group, Owner's Rep.
Eric Nielsen, Hughes County Facilities, Capital Improvement Manager.
Will Turner, Facilities Review Committee member.
Lee Randall, Facilities Director.
Whitney Hale, Deputy County Administrator.
Angie Powers, admin assistant.
and I'm Jerry Milstead, and we've only lost one game this year, okay? So, but we got Georgia to face, so that might be a problem. I don't know, we got, I know Renee, I saw you.
Yep. Hi, Renee Alexander, BBT Architects and committee member.
Dan Close, committee member.
Okay, there's two other you guys. I can't, from here, I can't see who you are, so.
Looks like Aaron Kay and Tom Pfeffer are both muted. Now they're okay.
Tom Pfeiffer.
All right.
Aaron Kay, County Performance Auditor.
Did we miss anyone?
I think that's everyone.
Okay. Well, the meeting minutes from last is, have you guys had an opportunity to review those, and are there any changes and additions? Can we move to accept them?
So moved.
Second,
Is anyone opposed? Do it that way. So, all right, they're approved. Lee, I guess you guys are on.
Perfect. So we have Kurt Schwabauer, Corey Loomis, and Wayne Powderly from Cumming Group, and they have a presentation, an update on the courthouse project that they're going to present. And then I also wanted to mention you all had received a courthouse project budget summary that we sent out a few weeks ago, and then I sent a slightly corrected version a few days ago. We will go ahead, I thought, and have them do the presentation. And then if there are any questions related to the budget update, we can address those at the end with any questions that you might have from the presentation as well. I will say on the update, our plan is to continue this on a quarterly basis prior to each facilities project review committee meeting and send that to the group a couple weeks ahead of time, so that if there are any individual questions, once you have a chance to review it, we could address those individually leading up to the meeting and then have it available for discussion during each quarterly committee meeting. So with that, I will turn it over to Wayne and we'll go from there.
Yeah, actually, I think it's Eric's.
Yeah.
Start it off.
Share my screen.
Okay, yeah, so we'll give an overview of the courthouse expansion project. I'm gonna first just start with a quick refresher of some information on the expansion and then turn it over to Fence for kind of the current status and upcoming work. So just again, a refresher, as you know, the expansion's 3 levels plus a basement on the south side of the existing courthouse, about 50,933 square feet. Gives us increased courtrooms with 2 new courtrooms on the 2nd floor. And it also consolidates court administration on the 1st floor of the expansion. Along with that, new lobby, we have improved security screening, and with the new Sally Port, we have improved in-custody holding transport facilities. And just again, here's the view, a rendering from Bond Street looking east towards Greenwood of the new expansion. So ground floor there, all the glazing is the new lobby, and then second floor courtrooms above, and the third floor shell above that. Okay.
Thanks, Eric. So the first portion here, we're just going to hit on some of the work that we've completed to date, and then I'm going to hand it off to Kurt, who's going to talk about current and upcoming work, and then Eric will finish off with just kind of big picture timelines. That's actually from our project webcam that you see there. That is a pretty fresh shot. So if you walk by the site right now, that's pretty much what you can see happening over there. So getting into these next slides. So this is the work completed so far really is about how do we keep ongoing operations with the courthouse underway. So a lot of this was a lot of great collaboration and effort from the group to figure out how we make sure we keep things really transparent and simple for the public, almost kind of a sense of, temporary permanence, as silly as that sounds. We don't want it to be confusing. We want it to be natural for people to get in the building. So the temp entry that we put together largely actually mirrors what the existing old entry had. So if you walk in there, it's a very similar configuration. And I know that was something that was important for DCSO. So that temp entry has ADA access, as you see there. We've got our ADA stalls out front, the canopy out front of the temp entry for folks that are in the morning, as you know, waiting on the steps, usually before they open at 8 o'clock. So it really is a great space for them to flow through into the existing building. After we completed that, we went after our site barricades and signage. Similarly, it was really important to the group to be able to have, instead of your traditional construction fencing, something that was pretty robust, wasn't going to get moved a lot. That way the public could really have a sense of the way the site was set up, and we wouldn't have a ton of changing conditions all the time. So that's why we utilize these jersey barriers and fencing. We will have a few moments as construction progresses. Once we get the building out of the ground and we start doing sidewalks and all that, some of those barricades will shift around, but it will be largely in that configuration for the time being. Going inside, the picture on the left is actually formerly where you used to walk out through the old entrance. So again, trying to make sure that our sound walls didn't feel like construction walls, that folks that are in this space, feel like they're still in an operational courthouse. That was a really important piece. And then on the right there, that's a non-public space. So that's actually down in the basement, outside the hearing room there. This hallway is a egress hallway. So if there is a fire alarm event, this would be a temporary egress out of the basement. And that's also the future egress once the building is complete. So that was something that was completed ahead of time to make sure folks have a way out of the basement. Getting outside, we've got some exterior sound insulation. That's actually second floor courtroom there, similar installation down below, and then the second floor courtroom photo there on the right. That's all sound insulation. The nice thing about that is not only is it serving a construction purpose for during construction, but we made sure to choose materials that we could leave in place after. So that's going to provide some extra benefit once the new courthouse is done with some extra sound insulation here. And now we're getting into the fun stuff. So got all our logistics in place and being able to move along with all the building demolition. So this work got completed some time ago, starting with the demolition of the main entry there on the left, and there on the right, the basement old sea tank space has all been demolished. So for all intents and purposes, main structural demolition all complete. So we can start moving into some other activities. Once we got demolition complete, there was a couple of locations where we had micro piles. So for permanent structure, the photo there on the left, it's some foundational improvement elements that were installed to make way for the new expansion. And there on the right is some foundation pilings that go on the existing structure, make sure and ensure structural integrity as we excavate down adjacent to the building. Now we'll start talking about some of the current and upcoming work.
Great. So this is where we're at now. We've done all that preliminary work and we've got everybody set up and court's still functional. We're separated from the public, keeping everybody safe and keeping our folks safe inside of our boundaries. Big things coming up where the fellows are standing on the left is part of our crane footing foundation. There's actually 4 of those boxes. We're using a ballasted tower crane. So the footings are a little bit smaller than more of a traditional tower crane foundation. And that is scheduled to go in a couple of weekends from now, the 16th and 17th. We're going to pick the weekend to do that because it's pretty massive mobilization of large trucks and crane components. And wanted to be able to do that while courthouse was shut down and nobody occupying it, just overabundance of safety for everybody. So we've got that set up for a couple weekends from now. And then moving into here, this just shows some of the infrastructure that we've been working on. So as we were demoing and moving stuff out of the way, we were able to start on putting the infrastructure back together, all of our utilities. So on the left there, you're actually seeing electrical vaults to the left and then a water vault to the right. So we've already reconnected the new water service. So new domestic water is already reconnected and using at this point, and we're able to remove the old service. And then you can see some pretty cool, if you're an electrician, those are pretty cool pictures on the right of the temporary electrical service getting ready to go. And then we go into some more of the utilities. So the 2 green pipes on the left are the reconnection and rerouting of the sanitary and storm that are connected to the existing building. They actually start right at the old stairway to the entrance of the secured vestibule that we demolished. So within that structure was the existing storm and sanitary connections, and now we've rerouted those around the new structure and reconnected to city services. And then the vault or the big structures you see on the right are part of this new sanitary, and one of the 2 round structures, the one on the right is new sanitary, and the one on the left is new storm. That's actually a drill hole within that taller one you see there. Now, at this point, if you go over there, those are all backfilled and put in place, and the crane is actually going to be right next to those. A little bit, gives you a little bit of a sense of the excavation that the team's having to do. You're basically into solid bedrock there with a lot of hammering and vibrations, which, we're trying to be sensitive to the courthouse and their business. So a lot of coordination back and forth with Eric and the courthouse staff.
Are you happy to do that work at night?
No, they're
No,
not.
you're not?
No.
Who was complaining? Somebody was complaining about, what was it, parking or something? Was that parking? No, because it was all shut down there.
I think that was a nearby business that had some impacts, and we've been working closely with that business on those impacts.
I mean, it doesn't look that bad on this picture. But you're telling me it's all rock, right?
I'm not, I'd be lying if I told you it wasn't that bad.
Well, this place is sitting on rock, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna find.
If we have an earthquake, we're gonna be really happy we're sitting here. I tell you,
Yes.
we had a house built on bedrock once, and we had hardly a damage in our house, and it was that huge LA quake.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So we want to be on rock.
We do.
You're,
We do.
this, you're not as bad as Redmond, however, okay? So
Okay.
it is, this is at least a little loose over here.
Okay.
If you
It's, But it's quite a, it's quite a deal that you don't just dig a shovel full of dirt and it comes out nice clean hole. You get a boulder this size and a boulder as big as this room and then some smaller pieces. So it's quite the deal to get to the point we're at now. And I think if we move forward a little bit more, we get to see some.
So are
of the
you
stuff.
moving the boulders out of there then?
Yeah, they're
Or are
all
you
moved.
crushing them there?
No, there's not enough.
Room to crush them,
Yeah,
right?
It's too tight of a site.
Okay, so you gotta haul them out.
Yes, exactly. So they'll take them back to their yard and they'll crush them at their yard. So there is a use for that material at some point.
I know, I watched Costco.
Yes, right?
They crushed
Right.
all theirs.
Well, they have a little bit more room to.
Yeah, they have,
They got
I know. Anyway,
No, but that's cool stuff and exciting. And so here was the big, one of the bigger holes that we've been able to accomplish. And then on the left side, you'll see where we started the formwork for the public elevator. So there's the two public elevator cars will go in that. What you see there is the formwork for the slab at the bottom of what we call the elevator pit. So, and that's all the white material you see in there is a bentonite waterproofing, just to make sure that no groundwater can get into that pit. And then you see the tall rebar columns that go out of there, and those will support those walls. It'll be a big square shaft or rectangle shaft that will go all the way up through the structure. And we'll have several of those. And that's actually our focus for the next few months is those shafts. There's 2 stairways and 3 elevators cores that are going to go from ground level or basement level all the way up.
That gets poured on Monday, right?
Not yet, correct. So yeah, we're at an exciting time in the construction, getting more and more contractors out there, and it's a lot of fun, and we're feeling good about where we're at.
Yeah, so as far as the timeline, it kind of puts us where we're at today during construction. We kicked things off with early work in March, and we're marching along to summer of 26 completion.
To touch on that, to remind you, at our last meeting, we talked about the permit delay we experienced. So you'll see there that bid and permit went from September 2023 to September 2024. Roughly about 6.25 months delay waiting on building permit. So
with the city event,
city.
and that is incredible.
Does anybody do anything about that? I mean, you're not the only project that's gonna experience this stuff.
So I think Renee can talk about that.
I know
she experienced.
I know she is, and she's,
There is work trying to be done, but progress is not as much as we'd like. Let's just put it that way.
But we have all the permits now. You guys are rocking and rolling, so we'll try to get this thing back on track.
you're in the dirt. So you had any surprises anything that's happened that you didn't really anticipate? Obviously the rock, you should have anticipated that.
The underpinning of the existing foundation.
Yeah, we did have to add.
That was one unforeseen surprise where
What?
behind the old A.J. Tucker building, there was 2 dry wells that were put back in 2004. So when we started uncovering that area, we discovered that it was not backfilled with structural shell. And of course, that's where one of our stair towers was going. So we had to go back in and do some underpinning on the existing building before we could check out any more dirt on the new side. So that was a bit of a delay, bit of a cost, but they've done that now and moving on from that.
And really, I think the only other surprise was the existing storm drains, roof drains weren't quite the way they were shown on the as-bills. So we thought we had it all figured out, and then it rained the other day and water was coming down over here. So we figured that out and got a plan together with civil engineers and rerouted.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, like
Not surprising.
not surprising.
Great. Well,
Any other questions on the presentation specifically or current status of work?
anybody?
So when you say summer of 26, are we talking July, August, September?
The The expansion, correct me if I'm wrong, expansion substantial completion is, March 23rd, 27th. And then once we move them from the old building, move the admin over into the new expansion, then we can go back over and remodel where they're currently at, and that's gonna take about 3 months. So that substantial completion is June 22nd. And then we'll probably have a few weeks after that, just punch list and turn over. So end of June, early July.
Great.
So we did, as I mentioned, provide the updated old project overview budget for the first time. And so if any questions related to the overall budget that we provided to you ahead of time?
Yeah, I do. Okay. Does anyone else have any before I ask my questions? I just, for clarification, Lee, the commissioning, I know there's in commissioning there's planning, but toward the end of this job, there's a lot of stuff whoever your commissioning agent is is going to have to put in. You spent all the money. Well, you spent 3/4 of it anyway. So is this going to cover him or her or whoever?
Yeah, it's interface engineering. They're under contract. Let me bring the budget with me. Oh, here it is. So yeah, they've been billing just up to date on their pre-planning and their coordination with we have the plumbing and electrical engineers. So what's left in their contract will carry them through the end for that final inspection and commissioning at the end of the project.
They've gotten through, a lot of that time is submittal reviews.
Yeah. No, I understand what goes on up front, but there's still a lot yet to be done, and it just looked a little balanced. But you guys are sure that that's going to cover it?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, a lot of that was that pre-con and submittal review, and then they'll come back in at the end.
Okay. Now, my next one is your cost.
Yep.
Okay, same deal. I mean, but that's percentage wise, it's a little worse. Is this, because you've got till the 2026.
I know.
Okay.
So with that 6.25 month delay, right now,
I understand.
we're going through all those delay costs that we're still analyzing. So it's Cumming Group, it's LRS Architects and their sub-consultants, and it's the GCs and GRs for Pence. So we're going through that right now, adding all that up and analyzing across the remainder of the project to get us to the end of the project. We're looking at about 1.2 million between all parties involved for that 6.25 month delay.
That's what the city of Bend cost us,
So we're still analyzing it, but roughly.
plus or minus, probably plus.
So you're going to have more. In other words,
Correct.
You're going to need more than what the remaining balance.
Yes, this budget that you're looking at does not have any of those delay costs in there yet.
Well, there is nothing for Pence. You go back and we had this discussion way back that you guys got to do the GMP after you bid the doggone thing. So, I asked them then, it's not you two guys, but
We're related.
I know you are. So, are you sure? You sure got a break from the county to bid the thing and then give a GMP. So you better cover it yourself. So I said, oh yeah, we're okay.
So that's what will be, so the other thing that we don't have, right now we're looking at delays and we're working on those costs. We're also looking at changes that came out of the permitting process. So we're really kind of considering that all of the group, both design changes and related to the construction details, as well as any related time delays. So that's the information that we've been saying we'll be putting together over the next 4 to 6 weeks. We expect that in December, early January, we'll meet with the Board of Commissioners with an update on any additional costs. And then we'd be prepared at the February meeting with the Project Review Committee to discuss what those additional costs may look like.
Well, it's not just the cost, Lee, it's the money to pay for the costs.
Right.
Yep, and that's what we've already, I've already had a few meetings with our CFO, Robert Tentel, looking at what our options will be. We also are carrying a contingency, so we'll look at the contingency that we have. And, but I think the short answer is that we don't have all the information yet. We're gathering that information. In the meantime, we're looking at our options so that we're prepared to provide options both to the board and then potentially provide an update to the committee as well.
Okay. Well, we need a breakdown of those additional costs.
Yes.
Anyone else got any comments? You guys got anything else? Any questions about anything we've heard today or seen?
I do not. You stole a couple of mine, so thanks.
Sorry, I asked you first.
You did, you did.
Okay, if there's nothing else, do you guys have anything to add? Lee, you're.
No, that's what we had as far as the courthouse update. For this meeting, we didn't have updates on any other projects. There aren't current ongoing projects that the committee had reviewed previously. For future meetings, we'll check in with the board heading into the committee meetings and get the board's input on any projects that they would like us to bring for committee review at future meetings.
I don't really want to say this, but okay, so we could have a giant bottle drop, and I know that Brightside makes 100,000 with their bottles every year. Maybe, so we can pay for that 1.2 million, right? Is that, or plus or minus?
We'll put together plans for our bottle collection thumb drive as well before the next meeting.
Well, I was just like, okay, a lot of money. We could actually, I just heard about how much money the city of Bend had they're doing like 3 million for the homeless funding today because they were able to analyze some funding. And I'm thinking like, well, maybe we should ask them for half of this. Think they'd like that?
And that's why we want to prepare a full explanation, because there are a lot of pieces. Yes, there's part of that permitting challenge is just the time itself, but there are other components to that as well. The back and forth on design changes, on code requirements. And so it's fairly complex back and forth in addition to just the time delays.
But part of that analysis too, working with these guys is, because of the 6.25 month delay, it's now pushed us with all the groundwork, foundation work, it's now pushed us into winter.
Right, bad time to be,
So-
costing more money because it's gonna be frozen ground.
So these guys are doing a great job so far, just analyzing how to really minimize the cost there, because we're going into the winter.
Definitely. Okay, so I have a little greenhouse at the Veterans Village that's been sitting on the ground for a couple of years now. Maybe I could have you guys go and get that thing permitted or built or something. It's just a small greenhouse for the veterans. I mean, is that, no, maybe Jerry, you can do it in your spare time.
You don't want me in the city of Bend. Not anymore. The construction industry is glad I quit, okay, so.
Well, anyway, I just feel so badly because it's on the ground. It's been on the ground for like 2 years. Someone donated and it's a huge greenhouse, and that is such a positive thing for the men that are transitioning there in order to do. And I, every time I ask, well, what's happening? They keep running into roadblocks. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you're doing the courthouse, and I'm sure glad Pence is right across the street.
Yeah, as you can see there from their webcam, they got
Yeah,
a
they got
perfect view at their conference room.
Is Williamson still over there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So we're in really good hands.
Do you remember Silverton High? That's where you and I worked together.
Oh, okay. Gosh, that was,
Like in 08.
like, you were, what, 12?
Thank you.
Something like that. Good, that was years ago.
All right, so for the facilities team and the project, that's what we have for today.
Okay. So shall we adjourn?
Sure.
Okay. We're done. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Volunteer to go over the greenhouse for the veterans.
Like I said, you don't want me.
I know, I did touch you, Jerry.
This